Which MCU character is the biggest? A superhero the size of an ant versus one the size of an entire planet. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has featured both tiny and huge characters, and I'm here to show you just how much of a difference there is between these characters, comparing the sizes of some of our favorites, such as Ant-Man and the Incredible Hulk. Most of all though, I'll show you which character is the biggest out of all of them we know about, and here's a hint, it's not Surtur or Arishem the Judge. One thing to keep in mind with these size comparisons is that most of the measurements are estimates from the television series and movies, so there might be some slight discrepancies between this list and what we see in future Marvel projects. Anyways, let's get into it. Starting off with the two smallest main characters in the MCU, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. These characters, and anyone who's able to use Pym particles to shrink smaller than the size of an atom, are so small that they enter a place called the Quantum Realm, featured in the upcoming film Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. These subatomic characters are the smallest out of any we've seen in the MCU. Up next is Anthony, and all the rest of Scott Lang's insect friends that he makes in the Ant-Man films. While these aren't necessarily main characters, I still thought it would be nice to include these ants, coming in at around half an inch or 1.27 centimeters tall. Next up is THROG, the Thor-like frog-sized hero who made a small cameo in the Disney Plus series Loki. This character comes in at about 4 inches or 10.2 centimeters tall. Our next tallest Marvel character is Baby Groot, coming in at 1 foot 3 inches or 38.1 centimeters tall. This lovable little tree can grow vines and make himself smaller or larger as needed, but as a toddler, this is the size he's usually at. Up next is Howard the Duck, the well-dressed talking duck who's made several cameo appearances in the MCU, and he measures in at 2 foot 7 inches or 78.7 centimeters tall. Next is Alligator Loki, with a height of 3 feet or 91.4 centimeters, and he too was featured in an episode of the Loki series on Disney Plus. The next largest character is Rocket Raccoon, the quick-witted, destructive, cybernetically enhanced raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he measures in at 3 foot 2 inches or 96.5 centimeters tall. Up next, we have Ms. Marvel, the Scarlet Witch, and Captain Marvel, otherwise known as Kamala Khan, Wanda Maximoff, and Carol Danvers respectively, all measuring in at 5 foot 5 inches or 1.65 meters tall. Our next tallest character is NATASHA Romanoff, or Black Widow, the KGB assassin turned expert SHIELD spy, and she measures in at 5 foot 7 inches or 1.7 meters tall. Not much taller than Black Widow is Hawkeye, or Clint Barton, the highly skilled bow and arrow marksman and member of the Avengers. His height comes in at just 5 foot 8 inches or 1.73 meters tall. Up next is our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, coming in at 5 foot 9 inches or 1.7 meters tall. Although he's under 6 feet tall, he can still pack quite a punch. The next tallest MCU characters are Shang-Chi, the 10-ring superpowered martial artist, and Wong, master of the mystical arts and current sorcerer supreme, both measuring in at 5 foot 10 inches or 1.78 meters tall. Next up is Bucky Barnes, or the Winter Soldier, measuring up at 5 foot 11 inches or 1.8 meters tall. Bucky has seen some tremendous growth throughout the different phases of the MCU, and I mean that figuratively, not literally. Our next tallest characters are T'Challa and Tony Stark, or the Black Panther and Iron Man, and their heights are 6 foot or 1.83 meters tall. Up next is Dr. Stephen Strange, master of the mystical arts and former sorcerer supreme, as well as Peter Quill, or legendary space outlaw Star-Lord. Both characters measure up to 6 foot 1 inches or 1.85 meters tall. Next up are Icarus and Steve Rogers, or Captain America. Although these two characters cannot be more different, they do have the same height of 6 foot 2 inches or 1.88 meters tall. The next tallest character, featured in the Disney Plus series Hawkeye, is Wilson Fisk, or Kingpin, coming in at 6 foot 3 inches or 1.91 meters tall. Since Kingpin was first featured in the Netflix series Daredevil, it'll be interesting to see how his character is used in the MCU in the future. Our next characters are Loki and John Walker, or US Agent, and they share a certain level of villainy, as well as the same height of 6 foot 4 inches or 1.91 meters tall. Up next we have Ronan the Accuser and Thor Odinson. Again, these characters are very unlike, but both still measure in at 6 foot 6 inches or 1.98 meters tall. Next is Jennifer Walters, or She-Hulk, with a height of 7 foot or 2.13 meters tall. If you're interested in She-Hulk, you should check out my video on her series and how to correctly break the fourth wall. Also, hit the subscribe button while you're at it. It doesn't hurt, trust me. The next tallest characters are Venom, who made a small cameo in the MCU, and KORG, Thor's Cronin warrior friend. These two share a height of 7 foot 7 inches or 2.31 meters tall. Up next is Ultron, featured in Avengers Age of Ultron and the Disney Plus series What If, measuring in at 8 feet or 2.44 meters tall. One of our favorite gamma-powered characters, Bruce Banner, or the Hulk, is the next tallest MCU character with a height of 8 foot 2 inches or 2.49 meters tall. Slightly taller than the Hulk though is Thanos, the Mad Titan, on a quest to collect all 6 Infinity Stones. He measures in at just 1 inch taller than the Hulk, 8 foot 3 inches or 2.51 meters tall. Up next is the Destroyer, featured in the film Thor, and this monstrous character has a height of 9 feet or 2.74 meters tall. The next largest MCU character is EMIL BLONSKY, or Abomination, the former Special Ops British Marine with gamma-irradiated blood, and he measures in at 11 feet or 3.35 meters tall. Even taller than Abomination is the fully grown Groot, with a height of 12 foot 4 inches or 3.76 meters tall. Again, he too can change his height as needed, but typically falls in at this level. Up next is UATU the Watcher, featured in the series What If. Although his size varies from time to time, his normal height is 20 feet or 6.1 meters tall. The next largest character is GARGANTOS, the one-eyed 54 foot or 16.5 meter tall monster featured in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Back up on the list next is Ant-Man, or Giant Man, with a max height of 109 feet or 33.2 meters tall. Although he bragged about reaching 65 feet tall in Ant-Man and the Wasp, he far surpassed that in the final battle in Avengers Endgame. For reference, 100 feet tall would be approximately the size of 3 school buses. Up next is a CHITAURI LEVIATHAN, one of the flying monsters seen in several Avengers movies. With a height of 200 feet or 61 meters tall, this is one monster I wouldn't want to cross. The next largest monster in the MCU is the Great Protector, featured in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This Talo-based dragon has a height of 240 feet or 73 meters tall. Up next is Ammit, the crocodile goddess featured in the Disney Plus series Moon Knight, with a height of 550 feet or 168 meters tall. That's over the height of 1.5 football fields put together. Slightly taller than Ammit though is Khonshu, the moon god who fought Ammit in the finale of Moon Knight. His height comes in at 560 feet or 171 meters tall. Now we're about to get into the really big characters. Up next is Surtur, the fire giant responsible for the destruction of Asgard in the event known as Ragnarok. After putting his crown into the eternal flame, his height reached over 1,000 feet or 305 meters tall. Even larger than Surtur though is DORMAMMU, the ruler of the Dark Dimension, featured in the film Doctor Strange. His height comes in at 1,200 feet or 366 meters tall. Next up is the celestial ESSON the Searcher, who once wielded the Power Stone as shown in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. He measures in at over 2,000 feet or 610 meters tall. Now, for the second largest character in the MCU, we have Arishem the Judge, with a height of over 10 million feet or 3.05 million meters tall. With a size easily able to be seen in outer space from planet Earth, this is one of the largest characters we've ever seen on screen in the MCU. But there's still one character larger than Arishem. Last but not least, we have Ego the Living Planet as the largest character in the MCU. Father to Peter Quill, or Star-Lord, Ego was featured in the film Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and he's the size of an entire planet. With a diameter of 21 million feet, or 6.4 million meters across, there's just about no competition for Ego in this entire video. While some of these sizes are just estimates comparing what we've seen in TV shows and movies, it's still crazy to see just how much of a size difference there can be all in one cinematic universe, with some characters smaller than an atom and others as large as an entire planet. Also, I can't wait to know if we'll get to see Galactus in the MCU, as he's the biggest character yet in Marvel Comics, able to swallow entire planets whole. But please, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, check out the video on your screen for some more of my content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching Rocket Riley.